Next tonight, teaching young people how to save lives. A group calling themselves the Street Doctors have an aim to stop bleeding on the streets. The doctors run classes on how those caught up in violence can deliver first aid and not run at the first sign of a stabbing. Well, I'm joined now by Dr. Charlene White, who is one of the Street Doctors, and Fredi Nwaka, who's a youth worker. Thank you both for joining us this evening. Charlotte, I'll start with you. How did this project come about?
It started in about 2008 when we were medical students and we were teaching CPR in schools, which is quite a common thing for medical students to do. But we went to go and teach some young offenders in Liverpool, and the youth leader there said to us, you know, you really need to teach them what to do when someone's bleeding because they've all seen stab wounds. So we asked the kids there, have any of you ever seen someone get stabbed? And we were quite shocked really to find that most of the kids had.
And so how effective do you think something like this could be then?
It can be really effective. One of the things when someone's bleeding is that they need to get treatment as quickly as possible. The more blood you lose, the less chance there is of survival. So if those people who are around a victim can phone an ambulance and deliver immediate first aid, it can make a real impact.
Well, Fredi, you work a lot with young people who can get involved in violence on the streets.
Yes.
Do you think that something like this could be effective?
I think it's a great idea, actually. A lot of the time, there's incidences that happen, and these young people do not have a clue of how to stem the blood flow or to react, and they get scared and they run off. So I think by learning basic first aid, it could help save lives, definitely.
Well, we've been getting some people to comment on our Facebook and our Twitter page, and there were some people who were against this, and we had a Twitter from Ambush Predator who said, it's not insanity, teaching them about injuries may make it more real to them, may make them think. Do you believe that that could possibly happen when they look at, you know, the after effects of stabbing someone?
I think the after effects, I mean, when something happens like that, most people just go into panic and run off anyway. I think actually seeing something happen, if they knew basic first aid, that would probably click in and they'd be able to then administer first aid and basically help and save a life. I mean, it's definitely important.
Dr. Charlotte, going back to you, how do these classes then work? It's a 2-week programme, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very simple, really. We're not teaching them anything fancy. We deliver 2 sessions. The first one is what to do when someone's bleeding. It's very interactive, and we get them rehearsing through scenarios. So, like Fredi said, if they see something, they immediately can bring those skills back.
And interestingly, we had a message from Christine Weston, who's contacted us on Facebook, and she said, as a first aid instructor in a cadet force, I believe it's hugely important to teach all young people how to do first aid. I think it should be a mandatory part of their education. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think the more people that know first aid on the streets, the better for the whole population.
But Fredi, just generally, young people generally within schools, because you can get injured whatever walk of life that you're from. So do you feel that every pupil learning first aid would be a beneficial thing? Most
definitely. I think it should be added to the curriculum. I mean, it could be something very simple, like at home, falling down the stairs or burning yourself. It doesn't have to be youth violence. I mean, I run a company called C.R.I.M.E, which works with ex-offenders and gang members, and we come across a lot of incidences all the time. And some of the youth that we work with, I believe if they knew general first aid, straight away they could help administer this.
But you were talking about that moment when something happens and your mind goes.
Yeah.
Is it really practical to think that a young person in that kind of situation will immediately click to the first aid course that they may have done with the Street Doctors? Is it logical to think that they'll actually be able to think straight and be able to help them?
I think a lot of the time things happen and some people, it's like fight or flight. Now, some people will see an incident and straight away they'll panic and not know what to do. And others, they'll see something and then think, you know what, this is what I've learned, and it becomes second nature after a while. It's not something that you think about doing at the time, but when you see something and you realise that you've learned a skill that could basically save a life, it just kicks in.
OK, well, Fredi and Dr. Charlotte, thank you very much for joining us this evening.